the member of the expert committee in of West Bengal government, where the curriculum and textbooks are just sorted out for this for the West Bengal schools. And more, I have to say, he's highly experienced, and he's a passionate teacher. Respected sir, you've got many feathers in your cap. One of them is he's a Fulbright scholar who is visiting member to the Physics Education Research Group of University of Maryland, USA. He's the founder head of the Center of Physics Education Research. And I've got more and more, which we will share with you children when we are in, and teachers when we are together at school. Sir, we are very grateful and privileged to have you here. And we welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this kind introduction. And I welcome all the students to this discussion, all the teachers as well as the students. And I'm also privileged to take part in this session and to having a dream of joining with you physically in some time as soon as possible. So thank you very much.
So we look forward to your visit.
Okay.
Children too. Sir, the session now, you can start, sir. You're most welcome.
Okay. So I think that we are planning to talk to the students first. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So and the students are of which class of which they are studying in which classes?
Sir, standard 8 and standard 9, sir.
Okay, standard 8 and standard 9. Let me share some pictures with you, my dear students. And I will ask you whether you can recognize these people. Okay. So let us see how many of you. Oh, I think you can see the name also. So do you know that?
Children, please interact.
Can you see this slide? Can you see picture, children?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you know who this fellow is? Why is this fellow so important that we are sharing his picture with you? Why is this fellow important? Who was this person? What did he do actually? Why is he
One of the freedom fighters who sacrificed his life?
Oh, he's a freedom fighter. Okay, someone said he's a freedom fighter. Anyone else?
Sir, a great scientist of India.
A great scientist of India, and you are right. He is a great scientist of India. What did he do?
So invented radio wave.
He invented
radio wave. Okay. Anything else? Anything else?
Sir, he was the first one to say that plants have life.
Plants have life. Okay. So actually, you know about this person, but a little bit of fine tuning you may do as you go into the details of his life. He didn't actually discover the radio waves. He actually transmitted the radio waves, okay, from one place to another, and received them, right? So the way we communicate nowadays without any physical connection, as we are doing right now, the whole thing started with Jagadish Chandra Bose. That I am sitting in Kolkata and you are in Purulia, but we are communicating through some kind of a technology, but the very initial phase of that technology was developed by Jagadish Chandra Bose. Although he didn't get this credit during his lifetime, because India was under British rule, and someone called Marconi actually received Nobel Prize for this, but now it is very well known that Marconi actually learned from Jagadish Chandra Bose's work about this transmission of radio waves. So when Jagadish Chandra Bose learned about this thing, that although he is the principal scientist who discovered this, how this can be transmitted from one place to another, someone else is getting the credit and the Nobel Prize. He didn't get depressed. He didn't get depressed. He just started looking for something else in his to do in his lifetime, right? And he focused his attention to botany, from physics to botany. And he didn't discover that plants have life. Actually, he discovered irritability in plants. Actually, that when there is a mosquito biting you, you can sense it, you can respond, right? Whenever you are hurt, you can respond, you start crying. Similarly, in case of plants also, when you touch a plant or a plant is being hurt in some way or other, then there is also response from the plants. This thing Jagadish Chandra Bose showed to us by inventing a device, an instrument. Do you know the name of that instrument? Anyone? Any one of you? Do you know the name of that instrument? No, no one knows the name of this instrument. The instrument is called crescograph. It is called crescograph. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. It is called crescograph. Actually, you know that when we were under British rule, and we learned that the Europeans, the Americans are discovering new things in science, then our people, our students, our scientists were also trying to show that we are no less brilliant than the Europeans or Americans. Although Jagadish Chandra Bose worked in Presidency College, the laboratory of Presidency College, and he was accused of stealing instruments from the college laboratory. He was called a thief who is stealing instruments from the laboratory. He was paid much less salary than the British counterparts, than the British professors in the same college. Even after that, he didn't lose his enthusiasm to do science, to discover new things, to work till late night during his stay in the college. So we have a lot to learn from the life of Jagadish Chandra Bose. So he is a complete scientist. He is a complete scientist who did science in his own hand. and was never confined to a particular branch of science. Now, let me go to another picture. There are two persons in this picture. Do you know them? Just a minute. Do you know these two persons in the picture? Anyone?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Which one is Albert Einstein?
Sir, with the phone.
The person in the left or in the right?
In the left.
The
Sir, in
left.
the left.
The person in the left. And who is the person in the right? Do you know whose name, which Indian scientist's name comes with Albert Einstein's name?
No, sir.
No, because it is not there in your syllabus, because it is not there in your examination questions. That's why you don't know about them. Because nowadays we study only those things which are set as questions in our examinations. But the persons that we are discussing right now were never this kind of students. That's why I am showing you the pictures of these people. Okay, so Albert Einstein, you are right. This person is Satyendranath Bose. Have you heard of this person, Satyendranath Bose?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Can you tell me why is this person important? Why is this fellow well known? No idea?
No, sir.
No idea. So actually, there is something called. Can you tell me which field of science did Satyendranath Bose work?
Physics.
Physics, right. Albert Einstein was in physics, so Satyendranath Bose was also in physics. And he worked in the field of, which field of physics? Do you know? Actually, he worked in the field of quantum mechanics. The field is called, specific field is called quantum statistics. And that is called the Bose-Einstein statistics. If we know about these people, then we get inspired to do something like them. If we don't know about them, then we will never inspire ourselves, drive ourselves to do something great in life. Then we will see that some person is earning a lot of money, right? And then we will consider that person as our role model. If we don't know about these fellows, right, we will try to get a job in a company, get a huge salary, and consider that only as success in life. That is not a failure in life. I'm not calling it a failure, but actually we will never know what our predecessors could do, challenging or rather competing with their counterparts in Europe and America. Okay, so let us show you the picture of another fellow. Do you know, have you seen this person earlier? Anyone?
No, sir.
No. Actually, when we studied, yes, tell me.
Sir, Meghnad Saha.
Meghnad Saha, right. When we studied in classes 5, 6, 7, we actually, in our time, we actually knew about these people in classes 5, 6, 7. So it is now very common. I find this thing across many so-called famous schools that students don't recognize these people. Yes, this is Meghnad Shah. So, can you tell me why is this fellow important? What did he do? Anyone? Just try. Don't you discuss about science, scientists at home? Are you interested in science? Is any one of you interested in science? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you have to have inspiration from these great scientists of our country. Okay, so actually Meghnad Saha is the scientist who derived a formula so that sitting on the earth, sitting in your room, you can calculate the temperature of the sun. So what is the temperature of sun? You can calculate by sitting in your room. While you are sitting in your room, he discovered, or rather he derived a formula that is called thermal ionization formula. So that's a very important discovery in the field of astrophysics. In the field of astrophysics, distant stars, galaxies, they have different temperatures, and you can calculate their temperature right from your lab on Earth. And also, he was one of the founding fathers of our nuclear program, India's nuclear program. And he actually had helped Nehru in devising, Bidhan Chandra Roy, Jawaharlal Nehru, he helped them in devising a river valley project, how to manage rivers, river waters, and Damodar Valley Corporation, DVC. I think in Purulia you know about that. And DVC is the result of Meghnad Saha's plan. Okay, so you have to know about these people. Although you don't have questions from their life in your examinations. Examinations actually don't inspire us. They should not inspire us. Somebody stood first in an examination, right? The only thing that the first boy or first girl can do is to advertise for a third grade notebook in the television nowadays. So we don't want our students to be like that. We want to see them as inventors, doing great discoveries in their later lives. Okay. Do you know this fellow? Have you seen this photo earlier? Who is this person? Tell me. Homi Jahangir Baba? No. This fellow is not Homi Jahangir Baba. Anyone else?
Sir, C.V. Raman.
C.V. Raman. Yeah, Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman. Do you know why is this person important? What did he do?
Sir, he did something in the field of mathematics.
Mathematics. No. Anyone else?
Sir, physics.
Physics. So which area of physics? What did he do? Okay. Actually, C.V. Raman, tell me, someone is trying.
Sir, he discovered the Raman effect.
What is Raman effect?
Sir, in
It
it shows
was
it
spread of
if
light.
light passes through a material is scattered.
Okay, but what is that? Can you tell me in a very simple language? Actually, nowadays we can get a lot of things written in our mobile phones, right? You can get to know a lot of things as you.
He,
Huh?
he developed a spectrograph which is used for scattering light.
Uh, uh, Actually, a spectrograph is not used to scatter light. Light scatters on its own. Light is getting scattered in my room, in your room, all the time. Whenever you switch on a light, it gets scattered. Whenever it falls on any surface, it gets scattered. For that, we need no scientist to devise any instrument. The only thing is that some detection of light which gets changed due to scattering. When sunlight falls on water, say sea water, it gets reflected. Scattering means reflection. Scattering is nothing but reflection. When it gets reflected, the color of light changes. This is the observation of C.V. Raman. Earlier, some British scientist, Lord Rayleigh, discovered a similar thing. The same kind of phenomenon, scattering or reflection, you may call it, of light by air. When light passes through air, we can't see air, but there is matter. And as light passes through that matter called air, it changes its color. And you can see that the sky sometimes look red, sometimes blue. So when the same thing happens with water, light falling on water, getting scattered and changing its color, that was discovered by C.V. Raman. And nowadays, his technique is used to understand the properties of different matter. If you want to know more about some material, then people use a technique called Raman spectrometry. What do? They send light of certain kind, observe its change in color, and try to know about the nature of that material through which the light was passed. Okay, so that's about Raman. Who is this fellow? The last photograph that I'm going to show you. Who is this fellow? Do you know this person? A very, very,
Yes,
very
sir.
famous person. Right. Tell me.
Sir, Ramanujan.
Ramanujan, Srinivasa Ramanujan. Right. Do you know about this person? What did he do? Why
Yes,
do we
sir.
talk about him? Yes.
Sir, he
Tell
did
me.
something great in the field of mathematics. And he
Yes.
told that in his dreams he saw his God telling him all the formulas.
Okay, actually, it is very difficult for you to understand the works of Ramanujan at this stage. It is so deep and it is so vast in terms of its importance in mathematics. But the most important thing for you is that Ramanujan failed in his first exam of school. Ramanujan could not pass the examination. And that's why he didn't get any opportunity to do his higher studies. So he was offered a job of a clerk in Madras Port Trust. And while working there, he scribbled on pieces of papers and what he considered as major discoveries in mathematics. But people around him were not able to recognize his work. So he sent all those pages of scribblings to G.H. Hardy of Cambridge, University of Cambridge. And he, when read those papers, he could understand the genius in this person and called him to Cambridge. So Ramanujan went to Cambridge, worked with Hardy, but unfortunately he died at a very early age due to tuberculosis. So whatever I actually tried to tell you, just showing these pictures, is that whenever we study, whenever we read something in a school, get admitted ourselves in some school, whenever we read something, then we have to understand why are we doing all these things. If you ask anyone, I have asked many students that why are you studying? They said to get a good job. Any other reason of studying? No, to get good marks in examinations. But the real reason is that if you want to ask, if you ask yourselves that when people were in the caves, in the jungles, they didn't have any schools. So why do we not study then? In fact, as we live in nature, as well as in society, because you can't live alone. If the nature is not there, then we can't save our lives. The nature is helping us to live. We need oxygen. We need trees. We need water. We need air. We need different other animals. We have a lot of beneficial bacteria inside our body. So we need others of nature, other things of nature to live. So how do we know about them? From our experience. How do you know? How did our ancestors know that rice is something that we can eat? From their experience. And then they thought that let our experience be learned. From our experience, let our next generation learn something so that they can live. In this way, from one generation to other generation to the next generation, we wanted to transmit our experience. Not just transmit. We faced new challenges at every generation. We faced new challenges. We discovered new things and transferred it to the next generation. This is about nature, and similarly for the society. How to live in a society. how to help one another, how can we live by cooperating with others. How can we live in a society? What is the best way that a society can exist? Nowadays, you see that there are elections, etc. Right? Earlier, there were kings. There were no elections. So that was one form of society. Now we have another form of society, and people, from their experience, got a better society, tried to get a better society. And this experience is transferred to the next generation, so that when you are studying, you will contribute to get an even better society in future. You will discover new ways of living in a much better way in nature. So that's why we study. And in this course, we work. We work in different companies, we earn money, etc. And some people may decide not to work also, but doing something else. Not to work in another company, but they may start doing something of their own. So whenever we study, why do we study? We have to know that. And I have shown the pictures of some great scientists and mathematicians, so that you can think about these people and try to know about many more of them and get inspired by their work. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to what I told you. The only thing is that what I tried to communicate to you is that whenever you are studying, whenever you are reading something, whenever you are talking to your teachers, whenever you are preparing for exams, always keep in mind that you are doing everything for the sake of saving mankind. And how can mankind be saved? In two ways. Number one, by saving nature. And number two, by devising a better society, a better social order. And every next generation always get something better than the previous generation. Why? Because they apply their mind, apply their education, apply their learning to achieve that. Okay, thank you very much. So, do you have any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so what have you? I have a question. Can anyone tell me that has there been any change in your pattern of thinking about your education after this discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what was, how did it change?
Sir, we should not only study for marks. We should expand our knowledge and gain knowledge to improve our lifestyle and others.
Yes, we have to leave actually. You try to think of a very young child. Now she is not that young, but when she started fighting for nature, she was really young. She was studying in class 8. Do you know whom I am referring to?
No, sir.
No. Have you heard of Greta Thunberg?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. A girl who stood for nature.
Yes, actually Greta Thunberg is now an icon in the fight for nature, in the fight to prevent global warming, in the fight to prevent climate change, and in the fight to speak out for the generation in which you belong to. Whether whatever she is saying is absolutely right or not, that is not the question. Because whenever you start working on something, don't think that whatever you have thought is absolutely right in all respect. You have to have this openness of mind. People may come up, criticize you, argument, they may argue with you, and that is always needed for any new thing to generate. So it's not that I am referring to Greta Thunberg means that Greta Thunberg should be worshipped. Like we worship Rabindranath Tagore, like we worship some person. No. Swami Vivekananda told us that respecting somebody doesn't mean worshipping that person. Respecting somebody means to be inspired by the thought process, by the way of thinking of that person. And that way of thinking is nothing but looking for a better explanation. If you are worshipping someone, then you will fix yourself to one kind of thinking that that person is actually giving you. So the very essence of learning, the very essence of education is to question things around you. So actually I want to show you something. I am a teacher of physics, and a batch of students of 2010 wrote a poem for me. I think all of you know Bangla, so I am showing it to you. Look at this. Can any one of you read the first stanza?
Sir, it's not clear.
It is not clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, read it out.
স্যার সবার থেকে অন্য রকম নতুন ধারায় ফিজিক্স পড়া স্যার দেন আফটার দ্যাট ইট ইজ নট ক্লিয়ার
It is not clear now?
শিখতে গেলে জানতে হবে উত্তর নয় প্রশ্ন করা।
Right. অর্থাৎ তোমাকে যদি I have told my students that the role of a teacher is not to tell the students to answer questions, but to ask questions. The more you learn to ask questions, you will be able to answer them. You will be able to drive yourself to search for the answers to those questions. So that's the main message that I wanted to give you in this discussion. Thank you very much. Okay, I have nothing to add.
Okay, sir, I won't say thank you because we want you every time. Thank you means we don't want to end so fast. Shall I ask the children to move and the teachers will be there? May I ask the children to move and the teachers will be there? Sir, can you hear me?
Actually,
Students can move away now. If you can interact with the teachers now, is that okay?
have all the students left? Children, you leave the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye. Bye. Thank you very much.
বাই
Thank
স্যার
you.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you.
Sir, we were also students during the session. This is okay. We were also the students during the session and learned a lot. We have pointed out at the loopholes, the way of our teaching. Yes, we didn't really enrich them with the scientists and the way you inspired them to think. Of course, we tell them to ask questions, but never displayed our scientists to them, that what they are supposed to be. I mean, as you said, to respect them and to be inspired by them. And that we didn't do in so many words, really. That's a lesson for us also. And now we will, of course, we are waiting for your discussion with the teachers.
Okay, thank you very much. I am now talking to my colleagues far away from Kolkata. Actually, I am rather radical in my thinking about teaching and learning. I have a slogan for the teachers, and that is, teacher, stop teaching. That is my slogan. Why? Why should I stop teaching? I am being paid for teaching. Actually, what is teaching? If you try to think about teaching, what is that? You try to recall your days in school. It is like a theater hall. Someone is performing on the stage, and we are among the audience. If that performance is fine, then we clap. We remember that performance, and if it is not so, we forget. Learning is not that. Learning is not like visiting a puja pandal or going to a cinema hall or a theater hall. Learning is to understand by doing something. For example, suppose some person has never got enrolled in any school. Will that person be completely blank as the person grows up? Will know nothing? Suppose the person who is a plumber now and had never gone to school, does that person know nothing? The question is that as we grow up in a community, as we interact with people around us, as we work in some field, we learn a lot of things. And I have seen that a lot of children, a lot of people are now learning English just by handling the mobile phone. I was a student of Ramakrishna Mission, Rahora, and one of our monks, Maharaj, told me that, do you know that I have no knowledge of English. I had no knowledge of English, and I learned English by reading English newspapers. Initially, I had a lot of difficulty, but I took that challenge, kept on fighting with myself that why am I not understanding this peculiar kind of things written over there. And as I kept on trying, I learned. And whenever I had any difficulty, I talked with my colleagues, my juniors, my students, and took the help from people. So there are many different ways in which people learn. They don't learn just by listening to another person. Some person entering into a room, as one bell rings, starts talking or drawing something on the blackboard and expecting that the students will learn only if they are good, quote unquote good. And what is the meaning of good? If they are very polite, if they are very well behaved, and if they are not talking to their neighbors in the classroom. So if they are keeping their mind idle, this is the expectation of our us, the teachers. This is wrong. Our role should be to involve, to engage our children in doing something, facing problems and seeking help. Seeking help from neighbors in the classroom, seeking help from the teacher present in the classroom. And the teacher is the main planner behind all this. How will all these activities of the children will proceed? The teacher will have to plan all these things beforehand. Otherwise, a teacher will always feel that, okay, I had my MSc degree in physics, so I'm going to teach a class 9 class. It's not a big deal. Go, talk about Newton's laws, talk about Archimedes' principle, talk about Ohm's law, draw something on the board, because I know all these things very well. If the students are unable to learn, it's their fault. So we have to put all these kinds of thought into the dustbin, because it doesn't help. It doesn't help. C.V. Raman, I showed them the picture, the work of C.V. Raman, talked to them about C.V. Raman. C.V. Raman didn't work in any laboratory, in any research institute, or in any university. He was a government officer. What we nowadays call IAAS, Indian Revenue Service. He was working in AG Bengal. And he was always walking through Bobazar Street, where he found this one dilapidated building, where a small board was there, Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, and there was no, we can say, high-profile instruments, but he wanted to know, wanted to investigate, entered into that institute, talked to the son of Mahendralal Sarkar, and got an opportunity to work. So he used to work in the morning before going to the office, in the evening while returning from office, and in course of these investigations, he ultimately won the Nobel Prize. No scientist, actually I wanted to emphasize this thing, that if we have to do something really meaningful in life, we have to stop copying things. If you want to copy, if you want to memorize things, that we will decide that these things we have to memorize, that we have to decide. So we need to devise methods, actually. How can we help people learn better? And as I am talking to my colleagues, I believe that you don't take any offense when one of your senior colleague is talking to you in a very self-critical way. it's I think you will never think that someone is trying to teach you what you should do. Actually, I am trying to tell all of us that we are still learning. We are learning every day. And what I am communicating to you is what I have learned so far during the past 30 years of my teaching experience. And I would like to request all of you to think about all these things, to always assess your performance. You should start assessing your performance. How? How can you assess your performance? Suppose you are, let me tell you what I started doing 20 years back. In the first 10 years of my teaching career, I used to praise myself because of the grasp of physics that I had, because of the grip over the difficult areas of physics that I had. And I always expected my students to praise me for that. And I got that praise, I got that admiration from my students. Why? Because Sir is discussing the subject at such a high level of mathematical deductions are being done without even going through any book. দেখেছো কিরকম ক্লাসে এলেন, কোনো বই ফই দেখতে হয় না, হ্যাঁ, কোনো কাগজ দেখতে হয় না, দারুণ বোর্ডের উপর একদম নাবিয়ে যাচ্ছেন সমস্ত জিনিস। So what? Why am I doing all this? To show my knowledge or to help the people sitting in front of me to do something that I am doing, to be able to do something that I am doing. And later on, when someone told me that you are teaching, everyone is praising you, do you know how many of them are really learning? How many of them are really being able to do those things that you wanted them to be able to? What did I tell them? Yes, I'm teaching them so well. I'm teaching them at such a higher level. They must be learning. So one of my students told me, Sir, everyone is praising that you are teaching well, but many of them are not getting in. They are not being able to follow you. They are not learning the things. So what did I start? How did I start changing myself? I started teaching myself to stop talking, to start planning. What kind of planning? Planning that entering into the classroom, what kind of work should I assign to my students so that they will form groups, work on them, come out with some kind of an answer and discuss the answer of one group with another. And I will just be standing aside, listening to them, and occasionally participating in the discussion. And in the whole process, allowing children to play the role of teachers and other children to play the role of what can I say, criticizing audience, critical audience. So this kind of argumentative discussions are very much necessary while we are trying to learn something. do we, if we allow this thing to happen in a classroom, I have seen from my experience that our children learn much better. And we can evaluate them. And this evaluation, this assessment is called formative assessment. So what is a formative assessment? What does formative assessment assess? A formative assessment assesses the teacher, the method of teaching, and the pupils. Why? Why is this assessment necessary? So that during the process of teaching and learning, we can always change our approach, change our method. So every time we have to be critical about ourselves by always performing experiments, whether we are being successful in achieving what we are aiming at every step. If we find that no, we are not being successful, then we have to change our method. And if we keep on doing that, every next day we will become better teachers and our children will be better learners. So if we want to do that, then you have to devise a lot of things. Say, for example, in a science classroom, you have to devise experiments that you will give students to perform in front of you. You will devise methods in which the students will express themselves. So that other students can question their friends and they can identify each other's mistakes as well as abilities, creativities. In a similar way, in the classes of humanities, social science, also we can devise tasks for the students where the students will do something really meaningful. Say, for example, in one school, during this pandemic, the students didn't have any kind of a device to participate in online classes. So then how can the learning proceed? Then I advise them that when the parents are coming to school for the midday meal, then hand over some kind of task to the students through them. And always devise those tasks so creatively that the students can do their job in collaboration with their parents at home, with their siblings at home, with other fellows in the community. Devise things in that way. And that worked. The students got interest in doing that. They didn't take these tasks as something related to exams. They didn't think like that. They enjoyed that thing. But for doing that, you have to do a lot of research work on your side. So whenever we see, I have heard from many teachers, from many of my colleagues, that আর কি হবে, এই তো একটা স্কুলে একটা কলেজে চাকরি পাবো ভেবেছিলাম, স্কুলের টিচার হয়ে শেষ অবধি থাকতে হবে। We are not we are not seeing, not being able to see the kind of research, the kind of investigation that we can make during our job, during our activities every day. one of my friend was really very unhappy, a friend of physics, really unhappy when he had to finally accept a job in a school after doing PhD. So he was telling, পার্থদা কি হলো এখানে এসে কি করছি বুঝতে পারছি না, আমি তো ওই ল্যাবে এক্স-রে ক্রিস্টালোগ্রাফি নিয়ে রিসার্চ করলাম, পেপার বেরোলো তো এখানে. Then I said that what did you do in your X-ray crystallography? He said that I sent X-rays into a material. Then it got scattered in different directions. I took the photograph. Then from the photograph, we could know what is there inside that material. We could know about the nature of the material. Okay. Then when you are going to class, I started telling him, when you are going to class, instead of X-rays, you are sending something else to the material called a human being. And how is that thing getting scattered and telling you about that human being? Have you ever thought about that? Actually, what I am trying to emphasize here is something that I kept on telling myself. I was also not happy initially. I thought this is a very dull job, doing the same thing every day, and there is no creativity, there is nothing new. অনেকেই বলে যে তুই ও টিচার মানে তো তুমি সারা বছরের পর বছর এক জিনিস পড়িয়ে যাবে. No, not at all. Not at all. You are working in a mind lab, in a mind laboratory. And when you are working in a mind lab, it is very difficult to work with them compared to a sample in a X-ray crystallography lab. The sample is fixed every day. It is fixed. And the same sample used in MIT lab, used in the IIT lab, they will behave in the same manner. But in a mind lab, every student will behave in different manner every other day. So if we look into all these activities that we perform every day as a kind of investigation, as a kind of research, and kept on writing, documenting whatever we are doing every day, we can inspire ourselves as teachers. And we can communicate amongst ourselves. We can hold meetings amongst us every month where we will share our thoughts of working in each other's mind labs. So actually, I think that there are many structured methods that I have devised for better teaching in the classes that can be shared when needed. That's like a kind of a questionnaire for every teacher. Whenever we are going to teach anything, if we have that questionnaire with us, we will be able to guide ourselves in a better way. Today, I'm not going into the detail of that. But whatever I wanted to communicate to you is nothing that is coming from some theoretical, hypothetical situation. It's from my own experience. It's from my own experience. And one of my colleagues told me, যে পার্থদা এই যে দেখো তুমি ইউনিভার্সিটি অফ মেরিল্যান্ডে গিয়েছিলে, আমার খুব স্বপ্ন ছিল জানো তো, আমি যখন কাল্টিভেশন অফ সায়েন্সে রিসার্চ করতাম আমার খুব স্বপ্ন ছিল ওখানে যাব। আর তুমি ইটালিতে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল সেন্টার ফর থিওরিটিক্যাল ফিজিক্স গেছি, এটাও তুই স্কুলে পড়ে এটা পসিবল। হোয়াই নট? Why not? First, you have to think that you are doing a great job that a scientist is doing in some lab. If you can convince yourself, only then you will be able to do that. So first thing is that you have to convince yourself that whatever we are going to do in a classroom is no less important than doing a research in a lab. Only then we can be able to enthusiastically take part in this job. Okay, that's all that I had to say. Now I will be happy to answer questions if you have. So today I am not going to add anything more. So am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much. Yes, sir. Actually, from my end, I'm just spellbound. I'm just recalling all what you said. And I was just thinking of, yes, really, we are working with mental labs and all that. So I was just keeping quiet, and it'll take time for us all to digest and to really implement. It is very hard. We'll be learning from you at every step. And we will always try to implement it so that we also learn and we also are not stagnant.
Actually, you know, let me share with you a story of a person. The name of the person is Bidhusekhar Shastri. When Rabindranath founded the Shantiniketan school, he was looking for people to teach over there. And it was very difficult for him to get trained people having lots of degrees. It was very difficult for him because it was not a formally recognized school. And it was not under Calcutta University matriculation program. And Bidhusekhar Shastri was having no degree, no formal degree. He was trained in the toll of Kashi, and he was hired to teach Sanskrit. And Rabindranath found that this fellow is a bit restless. Why is he restless? So he was looking for, since he has come closer to Kolkata, he was looking for some opportunity to take the matriculation exam of Calcutta University, so that he gets some kind of a degree and gradually go upward along the ladder of a career kind of a thing. So Rabindranath didn't Rabindranath didn't stop him. He actually didn't encourage him also. One day Bidhusekhar Shastri told Rabindranath, Gurudev, আমার একটু ছুটি চাই। কি করবে? আমি একটা এরকম পরীক্ষা দিতে যাব, এই ব্যাপার। Okay, go. He went there, went to Kolkata, took the exam, came back, and later one day Rabindranath asked him, কি বিদুশেখর, তুমি পরীক্ষা দিয়েছিলে, কি হলো? He said, কাচুমাচু হয়ে, গুরুদেব, আমি তো পাশ করতে পারিনি। Then Rabindranath said, যে যখন অসাধারণ কেউ সাধারণ হতে চায় তখন এটাই হয়। And now I am giving you a job, you do that. And Rabindranath assigned him the job of developing the grammar for the language of Pali. Pali ভাষার ব্যাকরণ লেখার দায়িত্ব তাকে দিয়েছিলেন। And Bidhusekhar Shastri is known for developing the grammar of Pali language. And similar kind of story is there for Horicharan Bandyopadhyay, who wrote the 2 volumes of dictionary Bungio Shabdakosh. Horicharan Bandyopadhyay was working in the Seresta of Shilaidaho Shilaidahor জমিদারিতে উনি সেরেস্তায় কাজ করতেন। But Rabindranath took him to his school and inspired him to be creative in some way or other. So actually what I'm trying to tell is that if there is a creativity involved in some kind of activity, that will always help our students to respect us. That is the main. Okay, thank you.
Now that we have got a living example of the kind of teaching you profess today, we need your help, sir. And I would request the teachers to ask question how we can develop this kind of experimental, critical of ourselves, this kind of teaching in the classroom, how we can adopt. If you want some ideas, you can ask questions to sir. Any of you?
If any one of you are trying to implement some kind of new methodology in teaching, that is also that you can also share.
No one has any question?
I don't think that is having any question. Okay, yeah. I think Sharoda need to be muted. Okay, so if you don't have any question, then
So actually, we will try out certain methods. I think our teachers also will agree. Then we will come back to you in the next session with what we have tried out and how we have implemented it, and how we can improve it, and then your critical views on it.
Actually,
Ruma,
let me share something, if that is at all possible. Just a minute. Just a minute. Let me share something, if possible. Okay. Just a minute. I shall share one Word file with you, if that is going to help you in devising your program.
sure, sir. Sure, sir.
The file is opening. It is taking some time.
So in the meantime, may I ask you for an humble request?
Yes, yes, please.
So if we could have you with us every month, at least twice, with the children and teachers, I think we would feel ourselves enriched and better, because in the process, because you have got a very tight schedule, I know.
Yeah.
I'm making a maybe some selfish kind of request, but I think if you say an yes, that's the best gift.
No, actually, I was also thinking of something like that, but fixing the days now is very difficult for me at this point of time. I will keep on communicating with you whenever I find some opportunity to discuss with you about many things. And I was also thinking of physically being present amongst you during December, if possible, in the last week of December.
Sure, sir.
If that is
Sure, sir.
possible.
That would be
So,
great. That would be
That will be
Professor.
great.
Okay.
And the questionnaire you said you may share.
Actually, let me share this. This is the. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Here we have something like that questionnaire. First thing is that whenever we are going to about lesson plan, everyone knows what a lesson plan is, and people having BEd degrees talk about these lesson plans with a very bitter kind of an experience. But I'm not talking about that. Whatever I am trying to show you here is something related to what I told. Suppose you are going to teach a chapter, you are writing its name, and number of periods needed. Whenever you are writing number of periods needed, then there are some questions. Why? How do I decide this number of periods? If I write 5 periods, then how do I know that 5 periods will be needed? Right? That we have to ask ourselves. That how do I know? And then the learning outcomes. That is, we have to prepare these things. After this lesson, the pupils will be able to what? Able to define something, identify something, distinguish between these things, compare, analyze, calculate, solve. And there may be a lot of such action words that you can write depending on what you are going to teach. And then, if you want to achieve these outcomes, if the students want to achieve these outcomes, then how to achieve these outcomes? How to achieve these outcomes? For that, you have to know the schema in their brain, the previous knowledge. The previous knowledge may be something learned from experience, maybe something learned from teachers, maybe something that is some primitive conceptual understanding, naive idea about something. So how to know the previous knowledge? Steps to be taken. What are the steps that you want to take to know these know the previous knowledge? You have to elaborate on the steps. Then what do you want to do? Then building new schema, right? New schema. How are you going to change the existing schema? Actually, by schema, I want to by schema is a word from psychology. Actually, schema is nothing but let me just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Schema is actually the how different ideas are connected in the brain, remain connected in the brain. That is actually schema. I was trying to write something on this screen, but actually it could not be done. Then there comes the using of learning devices. Actually, what are the devices that you are going to use and how you are going to use? That is smart board, experimental kits, documents, pictures, etc. What are you going to do? These things. And then the assessment of the outcomes, right? How are you going to assess? Deciding the tools of assessment, this thing. So actually, this is a very small version. I have to dig into my document files to actually find out the exact file, exact questionnaire. But at this point of time, I could actually I could search for this thing. Later on, I will be able to detail on these questions. But basically, this kind of a guideline that whenever I am going to teach, let us first prepare for ourselves that how are we going to intervene in the whole process. Are we sure how are we going to intervene in the whole process, or are we taking the things as a very, very, what can I say, that's some kind of automatic teaching kind of a thing, because I know the subject. I will just enter into the classroom and discuss the subject at a very high level. That will never suffice. So that's the problem that we actually face while we are going to fill out this kind of a questionnaire, this kind of a format in relation to whatever we are going to teach. It may be history, it may be geography, it may be physics, it may be chemistry. So if you try to fill this one before going to the class, I think you will be able to discover a lot of things. You will have a lot of problems in completing this questionnaire. So that's the thing that I wanted to share actually. Okay, thank you.
Sir, can you share this PDF file in the group? Then I can share it with the teachers.
Yeah, I can.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. If you, yes. I will.
Sure, thank you, sir.
Okay, I think.
And as we know, we all know he was so busy, but I really, I'm having a feeling that we need some hand-holding by you to change this method of teaching that we usually do. Yes, with experiments also, but we don't experiment. We don't try to look inside us, what we are doing. We don't criticize ourselves, whether, as you said, whether we are reaching to the children or not. Do you think a feedback by the children may help?
Actually, it doesn't help at this stage. At this stage, it doesn't help actually, because the children also don't know what learning is.
Right.
So I think that the children will know about their what learning is as they grow up, as they leave the school. Yes.
Each lesson has to be planned.
Yes,
and as you said, we have to study ourselves a lot before doing that, how to make it interesting. And I hope the teachers have taken a lot of knowledge how to teach. It's a different type of teaching. And
homework.
Sir will come sometime. Yes.
Homework is not for students. Homework for teachers actually.
Is for the teachers, yes. And when Sir will come to our campus in December, we'll all look forward to it. We'll really learn more. And I'm really, while I'm saying, I'm thinking how we can really change each of us who encounter with the students, how to change. We were thinking, yes, we do it through experiments, this, that, but it is much more than that. To create that, to inspire the students, to create that interest individually in students, it needs much more than that.
Yes, actually, this is in single term, we can call it curriculum and instruction related investigations. And that thing can be done, that thing has to be done with the proper planning. And what I have tried is I have devised some methodologies in doing this kind of investigation. How to do that investigation, the stepwise guidelines I have framed. So I will be very happy to share these guidelines with you and myself trying some of them in your conditions. Yes.
That would be great, sir. That will be great. Let's start from there, and then we can understand where we are standing and your what you have jotted down. Please share with us. We'll try our best. and with your help, of course. But probably we can't foresee what is coming in future in our methodologies. There will be a new addition, surely. But we need this hand holding, sir. And please, if you share to start.
I will share these things with you. Sure. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care, sir. It's really, I think we all realized that we have to learn a lot. And one more, I have a small question, sir, about the scientists. Should we give them group work to work on a particular scientist, or does a teacher have a project and the teacher?
No, I think that you do one thing in your campus. You don't tell your students. You just print photographs of different scientists and simply display them in your campus here and there. Okay, and ask your students about them. Okay, fine. And let them come out with different kinds of investigative answers to that. Let them search from internet and wherever they can, and share amongst themselves. Right.
Right. Would you suggest standard 5 onwards to do this?
Yes. Let them be familiar with these faces.
Okay, sir.
If these photographs are here and there displayed in the campus, they will develop a habit of seeing these photographs, talking about these photographs and all that. Like as if suppose you are passing through a road, and every time you pass through that road, you see some hoardings, right? Some advertisements, right? And
yes,
even without giving attention to them, you remember what is there in that advertisement, right? So this is something. This is some way of allowing the children to see something.
Yes,
unknowingly, to think about something unknowingly. Yes.
So they'll become curious to know more.
Yes.
Then they themselves will be having quizzes and among themselves that do you know this? They question each other, etc.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is fixed that you are coming at the end of December.
I'm planning like that. Yes, because I think that my visit to the TIFR center may get postponed. And
okay.
So you're most welcome.
We
will catch up. We will catch up, Partha, before the end of December.
Okay, sure.
I'm sure we will get some time as per your convenient. Whenever, just give us a 1-day notice. We will arrange it. It is nothing a big deal from the teachers.
Sure.
So it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring, Partha. Thank you very much.
So before December, end of December, we can meet virtually at your convenient time.
Okay. Virtually, physically. Okay.
Physically, of course. Yes.
Okay. So can I leave now?
Yes.
Partha, this is Rana here. A personal thanks to you for doing it. I was not been able to follow the entirely, but I have been followed your session 2-3 times by now in last few years, and every time I'm getting very dangerous. But it is always very, very nice to hear from you. Again, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so